Good afternoon. It's still December 15th, 2024. I had a lot of videos to do today. The only problem is it's taking forever for them to upload, so sorry about that. This one, it's a Sunday, and I'm doing a lot more on my faith and, things having to do with Orthodoxy. And so this one's going to be about some Orthodox prophecies. And both of the people I'm going to be discussing are, one of them's still alive, and he's a priest, a very holy and humble priest. And you can see his picture here. That's Father Elpidithios. Elpidithios. Elpidithio. Well, I can't pronounce it. Elpidithios? I don't know. Elpidios. But I think the D is pronounced TH. Elpidithios. There we go. Elpidithios. I'm half Greek. I don't know it all. He has been, he's obviously clairvoyant, so he's been sharing a lot of things in the past 3 to 4 years regarding the upcoming World War III. And he is a Greek priest, and he lives in Greece. And then the second person I'll be talking about is Gerondissa Galactia, and she died, I believe, in May of 2021, so more recently. And she too is a humble, holy woman, where saints were visiting her, and she has the gift of clairvoyancy as well. So she's been prophetic on certain things, and so has the Father here. So I'm going to give you some information on what Father Elpidithios had said in an interview. A man by the name of Stefan was asking him questions. So I'm just going to, and the reason why I found this particular prophecy important is because I was searching for one, because most of the saints in my church they come out of Greece, they come out of Russia, they come out of Serbia, they come out of Romania. I mean, there's Elder Ephraim here in the United States. He basically built about 20 monasteries in the United States. So he has had some prophetic things as well before his death. But I believe he died in 2019. Yeah, so I wanted to know more on what was going on with America, because most of the saints will talk about the countries with where they live, because obviously they're around their pilgrims, they're around their flock of parishioners, or whatever, people that go to them to get spiritual advice or blessings, things like that. So I found that Father Elpidithios did bring up something about America, and I thought it would be important to bring this up now. So I'm going to read what I have for you. So Stefan asked him, "Please tell me, Father, about these which you have commented on, about these unexpected weather phenomena." That's how it kind of starts. And the Father says, "We see unexpected weather phenomena even in our own country. This year I have heard of torrential rains, lightning, and these are still nothing. These are just a precursor." And Stefan says, "But we also hear a lot of talk about an earthquake. Are all of these things precursors to that?" Father says, "These are also nothing. What follows will be much worse. Underground volcanoes will erupt to such an extent that the structure of the earth will change. Remember these words. The structure of the earth will change. America will undergo such terrible changes, so terrible, that it is to cry for. Okay? We don't know exactly what that means, but remember this, because it has allowed its heart, that's America, has allowed its heart to worship Satan, and Satan himself will destroy it now. Lord have mercy. Now they want to do the same. That means the U.S. Now America wants to do the same through a global storm of war. But now this is God's will, and God's will does not change at all. Remember that. Russia will be the first of the last three kingdoms of this world, of the current version of this world, to be more precise. And now it has the power and the authority from God to become the Antichrist to the Antichrist. In other words, the enemy of the Antichrist. Talking about Russia. And by the way, he said this 2 years ago. And while America now believes that it will rule the world by destroying Russia, don't we see that? That's what we keep trying to do. It does not realize that it has dug its own grave. All these deviations and advances they make are nothing more than a more shrewd attempt by the Americans to win the war. But it will not be so. The war that has already begun in Syria, which is one end of the bow, and it will now move to the other end of the bow, which is Northern Europe. And when I say Northern Europe, I am not referring to a Russian-Ukraine war, in which they believe that Ukraine will be destroyed by Russia. Ukraine is part of Russia because that's where Russia's heart beats. In Kiev, the Russians know that too. So do the Ukrainians, the Russians and Ukrainians. That is why the Germans tried to get their own people to lead the European Union and to lead them through their Protestant views with their own presidents and their own political pawns to be able to separate Ukraine from Russia. But this is not possible, my child. The saints of Russia and Ukraine will not allow it either. Ukrainians themselves will welcome the arrival of Russia. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't remember that happening right in the beginning of Russia coming, but it says of Russia's apparent attack. If Russia hits Ukraine, it is as if it is hitting itself, so it will not happen as we believe it will. The war of Ukraine will be with NATO planes, but they will be defeated. NATO will be defeated. What I see as a disaster is related to the Scandinavian countries. Unfortunately, some countries will make the catastrophic mistake believing that the Americans will save them. The Americans will involve these countries in the game so that it can release its snake and then it will abandon them. Well, that certainly sounds like America. Therefore, all the small states that will enter this war against Russia should remember that it is very stupid for a puppy to fight a bear. The only thing I would advise all of these people, as I did yesterday when they called me from Romania and asked, Father, what should we Romanians do in this war with Ukraine and Russia? The advice that I would also give to my own country would be, try to remember what a man does if he wants to save himself from a bear. He falls down and plays dead, and the bear does not harm him. If you do not maintain neutrality, I told the Romanians, if you do not remain neutral, you will be destroyed. Unfortunately, the neutrality will not be maintained by all states. I will not name the states that will be destroyed. I will not name them because I do not want my words to be used at this time as attacks on those states that will suffer such great damage. But I see a great disaster in many countries. I regret that Scandinavia will be destroyed because it will be persuaded by the Americans to take a stand against Russia. I am sorry for Georgia, which will take a stand in favor of NATO. Now, we already discussed what was going on with Georgia, where the people didn't want to, they were working on NATO and U.S. and working on a coup in Georgia, so that the politicians that were running were for prime minister or whatever they're called there, prime minister, president, were being who were friendly to Russia. They're trying to get rid of them, do a coup in there. So here he is talking about Georgia. I am sorry for Georgia, which will take a stand in favor of NATO. I am sorry for Bulgaria and Latvia and all these parties who, unfortunately, will side with the Americans. It is better if they have even a little intelligence. It is better to avoid this and remain neutral, not to take the side of anyone, neither the Russians nor the Americans, if they want to save themselves. The same goes for us. He's talking about Greece. If we make this catastrophic mistake, we will be involved in a war that will occur at lightning speeds and will be fought with new weapons. Well, we've seen new weapons, which we have never seen before. Yeah. Russia is called by God, ordained by God, to destroy the American state right now. It is destined to destroy the satanic states of Europe and America, which surrendered themselves to Satan. Well, we've seen all the darkness and the culture of death we live in America. We've seen everything that's going on with the poor children, the child abuse with the poor children having their, the puberty blockers, the hormone stuff, the chopping off parts that they shouldn't, coercion of kids to do this, sex trafficking, all the ones coming in through the border, the smuggling in of children. We're missing 500,000 children now. The COVID stuff. There are so many things that have been preying on our children, which, mind you, St. John the Russian said World War III has to happen to save the children, because if we don't, they're in bondage to the devil with all these things, and they have to be freed, and the belief in God has to come back throughout the world, and people can come back to the faith or come to the faith. Okay. I would like to tell you something else. Leave them alone. All those who are so smart and who talk about all of this nonsense, which we hear from them. Maybe he's talking about people going on about, like America has been talking. Oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. If they want to be reasonable people, it is better for them to pray, because the following day will be very difficult. We won't have food the following day. The following day, we will have no medicine to treat our illnesses with. The following day, when radioactivity and environmental pollution will greatly increase, the earth will no longer provide food. Do you understand, my dear Stefan, why my heart aches and what my eyes see? So that's what Father Elpatheos has said on this issue of World War III and where America fits into that. So I'm going to now share with you Gerondissa Galactia, her sayings before she died. Not long after, I don't think. So she is speaking, and she was speaking to Father Antonius on this. And she said, saints are coming every night. Sometimes a group of them. I feel so wonderful. We talk. I embrace them. Father Antonius, being a good theologian, says, Metropolitan Neophytus is relaying this to some people in a church when he's talking, and so that's who's narrating. The saints that she was seeing are in heaven. They died bodily. Father Antonius said, since the saints don't have a body, how can you embrace them? She said, they do have something. And then Metropolitan says, the bishop says, they have their shape. Just like our reposed. When they appear, they have their shape and we recognize them. That's my father, my grandmother. This is the one who passed away the day before yesterday, eh? He says. They have a shape. Father Antonio says, what do they say to you? Listen, and then this is the Metropolitan, the bishop, listen to what Gerondissa told him roughly 10 years ago about what we live and what we follow. So this is 10 years ago, actually, when she said this. I didn't have the time frame, but now I do. She said many things. When he asked, what did they say to you? She says, many things. I don't know how to tell them. A storm is coming. Nakedness and filth in the world. No one speaks up. And she says, the divine justice is coming. The Metropolitan Neophytus said, let us not forget that our God is not just a God of love, but of justice too. So, Gerondissa says, no one speaks up. The divine justice is coming. The evil in Greece will be short-lived. Afterward, there will be glory. God everywhere. Afterward, a doxology to God every day. Every day. And one day, most people will kneel before him. Father Antonio says, who comes at night and you see them? She says, the horsemen saints. This great Saint George, Saint Nicetas, Demetrius, the dark-skinned Saint Minos, the beast, the broad one. Do you know what power he has? A great and fearful power, Minos. He's a bit gray-haired, older than the others. They now say to me, she says. She says those things at the time of the war in Syria, that is, sometime after 2010, says Metropolitan Neophytus. They now say to me that they are running inward, eastern, the places of Middle East, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon. They are fighting the Grantismenos. The Cretans call Grantismenos the demon-possessed ones. And the Metropolitan says she is referring to the jihadists here. She says they are fighting the Grantismenos who slaughter the Christians. This is where they will uproot, in quotes, all the parasites of Satan. The horsemen saints have risen with many heavenly powers. So, quite interesting prophecies, and two different people, but they both have somewhat of the same, just like the saints that they probably know about, like Saint Paisios and Saint Joseph, and all of the other ones that have put out, Saint Ephraim, all of these saints that have spoken on this. And I think there's a Romanian saint, not a Romanian. Was he Romanian? I think he was Serbian or Romanian, Gabriel. He had some same, they're all kind of in the same, it's all around the same meaning about World War III. So I was sharing that for you. And with all the weird things with the drones, I'm just wondering, are these drones some kind of precursor to what might happen to us in our country, America, whenever that may be. Okay, if you like my content, please follow my channel. If you like my videos, give them a like, and I'll catch you next time. And I think I don't know if I'll have an update on drones tonight or not, but in any case, I hope you're having a great afternoon, and until next time.